Hi, I'm Joy, and there's something very, very, very easy and simple that I would like to show you today. And that is, who is the boss in your life? Who is the boss in your chart? And the concept is called dispositors. And if you're into astrology, you'll know that most of what we learn in astrology is very, very complex, but this is not complex. And I'm making this video because I posted a topic in my group, How to Read Natal Charts. It's on Facebook. And the topic, let's see here, I'll do a screen share. The topic was responded to over 200 times. And almost everybody that responded was like, I don't get it. Like, what does this mean for me? Like, I don't understand how to read this chart. Like, it's just all very confusing. Like, somebody help me here. And I was like, all right, so I need to make a video about this because it actually is very simple. So let's take a look. All right, so in order to find out what your final dispositors are, go to astro.com, go to the extended chart selection, click on the tab that says Pull-in, and then go to Sign House Dispositor Graph. And then you can just click on drawing the chart and it'll bring up your dispositor graph. So the one that we're focusing on here is the top left. And now I am going to show you some examples. Okay, so this is actually mine. And in mine, it's very simple. This is the simplest, most straightforward type of dispositor hierarchy. There's what's called a sole dispositor, that's S-O-L-E, one dispositor, to rule them all. So in my chart, Mars is totally in charge. And it's funny because I actually do see this in my life. What'll happen is I'll get all caught up in thinking about things and making decisions, and I'm just like, stressed about something, or I'm like, man, how do I handle the situation? And almost every time when I finally get the resolution that I need, when I get the clarity that I need, it comes down to either A, what do I want to do? Or B, if I don't know what to do right now, it means that it's not time to take action yet. And when it is time to take action, I'll know it in that moment and I can trust my instincts and just do what feels right and just act or not act. I'll just know it. So for me, my Mars instincts are a very, very, very important part of my life. And it shows up here in this dispositor hierarchy. So how it works is first we've got, so in my particular case, Mercury is kind of at the bottom of the pecking order in a way, although, well, I mean, not really. So, okay. Mercury's like, hey, I want to do a thing. I better ask if it's okay. And since I am in the sign that's ruled by Neptune, I'm going to ask the boss of that sign, which is Neptune. So I'm going to ask Neptune, is it okay for me to do this? And Neptune's like, ooh, I like this idea. I'm on board with it. It seems good, but, I better ask my boss if I can help you out with this. So let me go ahead and ask Jupiter. So Jupiter is over here all like, yeah, I love it. Let's do it. Woo! Let me just run it by my boss first, quick. I'm going to talk to Venus about it. And Venus is like, you guys are brilliant. This is a wonderful idea. Let me just clear it with Mars. I think it's going to be okay. And then Venus says to Mars, hey, we want to do this thing. And Mars is like, do the thing. And then I do the thing. And my son also answers to Mars, but it's kind of interesting because everything goes through Venus, before going to Mars, except for my son. My son does not. So you can kind of see like the flow of the decision making and like who wields the most power in your chart in terms of planets. So Venus is actually really powerful, but not as powerful as Mars. So let's see here. Let's look at the next one, if I can get it to do the thing. No, do the thing. Ugh. I just want it to like go to the next. There we go. Okay. So another thing that can happen is something called mutual reception. And this is where you do not have one sole dispositor, as I do in my chart and as some people do. What you have instead is planets that are circled in green. And what that means is that they're in each other's signs. So it's like when I was a kid and I would go to my dad and be like, hey, Dad, can I do this thing? And he'd be like, ask your mom. And then I'd go to my mom and I'd be like, Mom, can I do this thing? And she'd be like, ask your dad. You know, they're like cooperative in the decision making and defer to each other and need to reach an agreement in order to know what to do. So in this particular case, we've got 3 different planets that are all in mutual reception with each other. And that is Jupiter, Mars, and Pluto. So anytime most of the planets are trying to do a thing, they need to get the agreement of all 3 of these planets in order for the decision to feel really solid. The exception here is that there is a final dispositor for part of the chart, and that is Neptune deferring to Uranus in order to like make its decisions. So Uranus does not need permission from Mars, Jupiter, and Pluto in order to do anything. And furthermore, Neptune is underneath Uranus in this hierarchy. So Neptune does what Uranus says, like kind of, and or like Uranus is in charge of Neptune, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And so they're doing the Uranus thing over here, whatever that might be, while the whole rest of the chart needs permission from Pluto, Jupiter, and Mars. All right, so let's look at the next chart. So this one is interesting because there are 4 different mutual reception planets. However, they're not all in mutual reception with each other. So in this case, you can see that there's no connection here between Mars and Jupiter, or like basically it's just like Mercury and Mars are in mutual reception with each other, and Jupiter and Uranus are in mutual reception with each other, but there's no connection between the 2. So whatever Jupiter and Uranus decide they're going to do, like as long as they're both in agreement, they don't need anybody else's permission. They can do what they want. And then the same thing goes with Mercury and Mars, and then the Sun and Venus are under the command, you could say, of Mars and Mercury in this chart. However, Pluto is a final dispositor. So the Moon, Neptune, and Saturn are all looking to Pluto for the final say in decisions when it comes to anything that's going on with them. All right, here's another interesting one. So this is a similar kind of thing. We've got 2 different sets of mutual reception planets here. But they're not necessarily all linked with each other. Like the Sun and the Moon need to agree on things, but they do not need the agreement of these other planets. And then Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune all need to agree on things, but they don't need the agreement of any of the other planets either. and you can see which signs defer to which planets for decision making. And then, like I said, they all got to be on the same page. So they're over here like having a board meeting, you know. They're like, I think we should do this. Somebody read the meeting minutes from the last meeting and see what we said about this. Okay, I see. All right, I would like to make a motion. All those in favor? No, someone has to second the motion. Anyways, I'm not going to just go on about Robert's Rules of Order right now. What I'm trying to say is that you know, there's a lot going on in this chart in order for any decision to be made, because there's all this mutual reception. The only exception is Pluto, which doesn't have anybody answering to it, and it's doing its own thing. So Pluto does what it wants for this person, and is just kind of like totally unrelated to the rest of the chain of command. All right, I've got some more here. This just shows like a very simple mutual reception situation where all of the planets ultimately answer to either Mercury or Venus, and then Mercury and Venus need to be in agreement. So whatever this person is going to do, like it has to fit their logic and their values. Logic being Mercury, values being Venus. So like it has to be lovely and wonderful and nice for Venus, and it has to make sense for Mercury. And if things do meet both those criteria, then they're going to feel good. You know, that person is going to feel good about that decision, and the chain of command from these other planets will be satisfied in doing so. And let's see here. I had more in here than just that. Okay, so in this particular example, we've got almost all of the chart going to Uranus. So there's a really, really big need for this person for freedom and individuality. And the exception is that Mercury, so this person's like logic and like way of thinking, and Sun are doing their own thing over here. And that's another thing that can happen. We've got two final dispositors. And then here's another one. No final dispositors, like circled in black. They're all circled in green, and there's just a whole lot going on here. So decisions for this person, like they need 1, 2, 3. Well, actually, it depends on the situation. So Venus and Uranus would be doing their own thing together, but the other planets here pretty much need to all be in agreement in order to feel good about making a decision on anything. So this is all very interesting and fun, and you can explore this for your chart and in your life. It was a little bit of an eye-opening moment for me when I started looking at these more carefully recently. Like I've looked at it in the past and I was like, okay, cool, like whatever. But what happened for me was I started talking to God, and God would talk back to me. So I'm having these conversations with God, and I'd be asking, what do I do about this situation? Like, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And just the fact that I'm so focused on what to do is indicative of this Mars final dispositor for me, because that's what Mars is all about, you know, like what action are we taking? So, you know, I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And God just kept saying, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? I'm like, ah. So I had to do a little bit of reflection. And anyways, that this is a big a big part of the reason why I got turned on to these dispositor charts recently. And then I was looking at charts of people in my life, and I'm like, oh, Saturn is this person's final dispositor. No wonder that person is the way he is. Or, oh, interesting. Pluto is this person's final dispositor. All right. All right. I think I understand this person a lot better now. This works. This makes sense. And I've just been studying charts of people I know this way. So anyways, I'm going to wrap up this video. Like I said, it's very easy, very simple, and very fun, and I think very important too. So anyways, thank you for watching and enjoy your exploration.